here's what I don't understand. And this is a serious question for everybody. There's 100 billion sperm that come out when a man and a woman make love. How did I win? How did I, out of 100 billion, it was like the Hunger Games down there. How did I win? That's what I want to know.
Let's define what makes something difficult. It could be breadth or depth.
Let's give it up for me. I'm moving in with my girlfriend this weekend. Can you give it up for me? She just graduated high school after 4 years. She's really good.
Let's say breadth is to get good at this one skill, you have to get good at like 20 or more micro skills. So to be good at business, you have to be good at negotiating, sales, employee management. There's lots of skills for business.
Does anyone know how I get back to Hogwarts? I got on the wrong train station for Hogwarts.
And then there's the depth part you get by just figuring out how to improve at each micro skill. As an example, I wanted to improve my ability to tell one-liners.
In the airport, I went through the X-ray machine, and they found I had an extra $20 bill and herpes from the X-ray machine.
And this applies to public speaking, this applies to sales, applies to writing. When you go up on the stage, it's very intense. You have really just 4 or 5 seconds to get the audience to like you, or else they're gone for the rest of your set. So what I did was, I went on the subway, and then I would just start telling jokes. They definitely hate you in a subway car if you're talking. The results weren't that great, but it helped me learn. You know, that day I got 1% better. That's all I needed to do.
Do I spy new pants? Are those your new pants?
Yeah, and they got hemmed and they're too short. So I gotta figure out what to do. So
that's great. All right, so let's talk. Tell me about 1% daily improvement from the beginning. Let's sort of like flesh it out.
I'm always fascinated by not any one skill, but in general, how someone becomes the best at what they do. One thing I've seen from the people I admire, it doesn't matter the industry, it could be Tony Hawk and skateboarding.
You want to learn every aspect of what you're getting into. I love what I do. I love skateboarding. I would do it for free any day.
You know, Sarah Blakely in business, who's the founder of Spanx.
The only failure for me feels like when I don't try something.
Gary Kasparov in chess.
You have to defend your integrity as a great chess player. So you have to adapt, there's no other choice, or you die.
Sasha Cohen, who's an Olympic medalist in ice skating.
And it was all ice skating. I thought, how do I become the best at this? And what are the supporting activities I need to do? And I found a sports psychologist, and I would journal, and I would watch videos of the best skaters, watch videos of myself, and compare. You can do that with other things in life.
You can't get great at something that you don't love doing 20 hours a day. You think about it all the time. You have to be obsessed and thinking about it and connecting with it. But one thing I really noticed was everybody was constantly seeking to improve, whether they realized it or not. They were always saying, how can I challenge myself a bit more in this area? No matter what you learn, what's the next step? And you have to push yourself to see that nuance. With writing, for instance, maybe you're good at writing cliffhangers at the end of a book or at the end of a chapter. What about if you think about it, can I write a cliffhanger at the end of every paragraph? What are the possibilities for improving my ability to do a cliffhanger, or to be vulnerable, if you're writing nonfiction, to be vulnerable and bleed in the first line? What am I capable of doing? How far can I push myself in that way? What would be too much? How would I measure success in this? After you identify these micro skills, really pushing yourself, what's 1% better? There's always some new level to conquer. The 1% a day was just a framework to think about it, because how do I get 1% better at writing every day? I don't even know what that means.
What's both great and ugly about America is how fucking entitled everyone is. I was in a 7-Eleven a few weeks ago, and this woman in front of me in a 7-Eleven, she couldn't pay for the extra large Slurpee. She kept trying to find the change, and the cashier was saying, ma'am, you gotta pay. And she started yelling at him, do you know who the fuck I am? In a 7-Eleven, she was saying this. And so I had this great idea. Tell me if you think this is a good idea. I kind of want to make like a short film, like a real indie kind of film about this woman. Like who the fuck is she that, who the fuck is she that she feels she could yell at like this Asian high school kid behind the cashier's desk?
Stand-up comedy is not my whole life. I have businesses, I write, I do other things, but I'm obsessively interested, and I try to learn 1% a day. I try to get 1% better a day, and that 1% a day really works. When I went dead broke, it was really that focusing on just getting a little bit better every day of creativity and everything else that saved my life. It's hard to quantify, like what does it mean to be 1% better at creativity every day? That almost doesn't mean anything, but it's just a system to think about. Like, do I really feel like I've been a little bit more creative today than yesterday? Just a little bit, not even noticeable, but it gets very noticeable in a year. It gets unbelievably noticeable. And the great thing about improving 1% a day, people think it adds up. Like, oh, 1% every day, that's 365% a year. It's only 3 times better, which, by the way, would still be good. But 1% a day compounded is 3,800% a year. Compounding, Warren Buffett calls it the 8th greatest wonder of the world. So it compounds, it multiplies exponentially instead of additionally. If you think about things in this 1% a day way, it's not like you get, oh, I'm gonna double my ability in a year or whatever. You're 38 times better in a year than you were at the beginning of the year. Now, what's interesting is being 10% better at a skill is no good. If one of my competitors is doing 1% a day, and then a year later we're both talking to the customer, my competitor will say, I'm 10 times better, just look at me. And the customer will say, oh yeah, you're right, why are we still with James? We should be working with you. If he was just 10% better, they might say, well, I don't know, I can't really tell, and James calls me every day and you don't, and I don't know, it's hard to tell, I can't figure it out. But 10 times better, people can always notice.
Hey, how was your trip here? Good. This is my daughter Molly, Madison.
There are so many interesting things to talk about. Like you could talk about a fact and like give a lecture or whatever. Or you could talk about I could talk about my story, but maybe everybody's already heard that. So there's somewhere in the middle where what can I say that's unique that they might not have heard before, but still has kind of the story that I think people relate to and resonate with. And also we're at a place, the Comedy Store. I want to be a little bit funny. I'm not planning on doing comedy, but I want to be a little bit funny. So that means altogether, that means I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. We'll figure it out.
So, without further ado, is the main man himself, James Altucher.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for showing up here in the middle of the day. Don't you guys work? I'm so glad they booked this place, the Comedy Store. I've been a fan of comedy since I was a kid. And then when I was at HBO, the television company, I worked a lot on comedy. It was such a hard skill that I really just wanted to learn this skill. Because I feel also it's a metaphor for many other skills we want to learn. Like for instance, I always wanted to be good at business. But business is not there's no such thing as being good at business. Because business also is one of those, like anything worth doing, it's not a big skill, it's a collection of micro skills. And each micro skill, you have to get good at learning. So with business, you have to get good at negotiating. You have to get good at selling. You have to get good at managing people. You have to get good at, interacting with people so everybody could be friendly and not yelling at each other. You have to be good at reading people so you don't partner with people who are potentially going to bring you down. So each one of these micro skills is worth learning, and each one requires, you know, kind of the 5,000 to 10,000 hours to master, to succeed in, and it's very difficult. That's why there's only a handful of billionaires in the world. Hey, this is James.
Hi, James. It's Helen with Richard.
Okay, so should we get started?
Yeah, if we could, that would be great.
Okay.
We'll pass you over to Richard now. Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, Richard Branson, thanks so much for coming on the show, and thanks also for writing such an excellent new book, Finding My Virginity, the New Autobiography. By the way, I love that subtitle.
Well, thank you very much for your kind words. I suppose, yeah, having come up with the name Virgin, it gives me lots of opportunity to do lots of puns over the years. So,
if someone was listening to this and they said to themselves, well, okay, he's probably a little bit crazy and he's got a lot of money, I can't do this, you know, how would you respond? A lot of it is just that they're afraid to get out of their comfort zone. How can someone practice getting out of their comfort zone in the ways that you've obviously practiced since you were 15 years old?
I think there's a lot of things that don't involve a lot of money to do. So, for instance, you know, myself and my kids, we kite surfed across the English Channel. Now, learning to kite surf, all you need is a kite above your head, 5 hours lessons, and you can be up on a board and away. And you know, so you know, you don't have to go to the expense of building a spaceship or a big hot air balloon to do your big adventures. Even then, you know, like for a lot of people, you know, start step by step. I mean, you know, if people find that they're vegetating a little bit, set yourself challenges. I mean, every year, our family, we set ourselves a challenge. You know, last year we biked 2,500 kilometers from north of Italy to south of Italy. I was 66 years old. You know, it's 100 miles a day. You know, I'd just been injured just before it. But it's incredible how your body adjusts and gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So, you know, I think setting yourself a challenge every year means that you then have to get fit to do that challenge, and that gives you another skill, another thing, and doing it with your family even better.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to this. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thank you. Good luck.
I've been following you for a couple of years now. Really,
Thanks.
Really enjoy it there. What was your pivotal point when you lost everything? Because I've just lost my company back in June here. I was being scammed for 150 grand on Forex trading.
Yeah, no, Forex trading is scary. My pivoting point was really just being scared enough that I wasn't going to be able to feed my kids. And then so I pulled back all my expenses huge, and I started writing for like $200 a post, but I would write as much as possible, because that was like my one skill that people would pay for. So I found the one skill people would pay for, and then I also started managing money, where I made very little at first, but I just started building up. Find some hook that you love, where you can start making a little bit of money, and build up from there.
People were telling me to go back into the same business I was in. I'm a designer. I've done bathrooms and kitchens. I got 2 big showrooms in the south of England, which I've still got one of them left. So I was going to do the trading full time. So
No, don't do trading full time. That's scary.
Yeah.
So go back to what you love and what you were good at. Maybe do a little bit, like write articles or write a book or consult for others, or maybe try to get some clients with that. But just start little and small. Just something to build your confidence back up again. Like, oh, I could do this. Because maybe if you help some company design their space to be more conducive to sell their product, they'll hire you as a consultant for sales. You know, you never know what could happen. You just have to be out there and get your confidence back. Do little things to get that confidence back. Write down 10 ideas a day of what you could do to get your confidence back. That will maybe pay you a tiny bit of money, and just
give up on the trading. I thought that was going to be
don't trade. You could invest, don't trade.
Yeah.
So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, thanks.
I mean, we're both really busy, so sometimes I wish I could see him more, but the time we do spend together, it's well spent.
Go and take a picture.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thanks.
We love you, James.
Thank you so much. I love you guys too.
It's always interesting hearing about what he's doing, or even like going to something like events or whatever he's doing with him. And we're both really busy, so sometimes I wish I could see him more, but the time we do spend together, it's well spent.
So many people say, well, I can't do this because I'm too old, because I've been through too much, because I don't have the money, because I'm in some kind of jail, because we have the wrong president, because I'm too depressed. But you can come back from anything, and you know, I can't be I'm never going to be a professional basketball player, but if I wanted to do something relating to basketball, I'm sure I could start now. If I wanted to be the best book writer or blogger relating to basketball or fantasy basketball, whatever, I'm sure if I was passionate about that, which I'm not, I could build up step by step and let my fascination be the compass by which that shows me the direction of success. I kind of want to support the cab drivers here. Cab drivers have been licensed here for like 500 years, and now Uber, suddenly they gave 150,000 licenses to Uber drivers who don't have to go through the same 3 years of training that cab drivers go through. So the cab drivers are miserable. And so I kind of don't want to take an Uber because I want to support the cab drivers. Oh, thanks so much.
London SC12FF. Oh, you got it. Okay. That's the weirdest
Do you also have the knowledge? That's great. These cab drivers spend 3 years learning every single street and stop in London, and I love the benefit of you tell them a street address, they always know where to go. I think for me, this 1% a day resulted more from studying learning, like learning how to learn. But if you look at evolution and evolutionary trends, and this is related to investing too, you can start to see, what things out there are compounding, not at 1% a day, but at 1% every 6 months, 1% a year. They're improving in almost an amount you can't see, but they're improving in this way that's exponential. They're compounding.
Our next guest says, Mark Zuckerberg, hold on to what you've got. In the long run, going public will be the right thing to do. You're not serious, though, really. I mean, $100 billion.
And I said, Facebook is eventually going to be worth $100 billion. Everyone laughed. If they were to just sort of sit on their hands and go public, I think you could start seeing Google-like numbers in the revenues and the EBITDA and in the valuation. Because what I saw was, I was using Facebook a little bit more every day. Like, I was super excited about it, and I was encouraging my friends to use it, so I was using it a little bit more every day. But then you just looked at the basic trends. Okay, they're going to every college, then they're going to go to every business, then they're going to go to every country. They started the news feed. It made it easier for me to message my friends. They built a platform other people could build applications on top. And I said, this reminds me of the internet. So Google's at a $150 billion market cap. Eventually, Facebook's going to hit that if it were to go public and stay through it to the long haul. And how big is the internet? It's worth trillions. So Facebook should be worth at least $100 billion. And I was too late to do private investing in Facebook, but what I did was I invested in a string of Facebook agencies. So ad agencies that were focused on bringing corporations onto Facebook. Because I figured, well, if it's like a mini internet, the very next step is corporations are going to want to advertise here and they're going to need a presence on Facebook. This is exactly what happened. I couldn't invest in Facebook in 2007. I didn't know how, but I was able to invest in all these backdoor ways into Facebook. And by the way, I was borrowing from the fact that not only was I learning about investing, but I had started an internet agency in 1996 to bring corporations onto the internet. So I knew that that was a good business in something that's a new trend. Just like now there are blockchain agencies bringing companies into the crypto world. So those are good investments right now. All this is related to this 1% a day framework. For better or for worse, I've had to learn many skills, maybe because I've not been focused on one, or maybe because I've had a lot of interest, or maybe because I've been a dilettante. But like, let's say chess, business, writing, comedy, programming, investing. So I've had an opportunity to not only study these things one by one, but study what is the process of learning. Let's call it meta-learning. I had to understand what it's like to learn. So that's why I've also had on the podcast people like Anders Ericsson with the 10,000 hour rule. He's the professor who developed this concept that with 10,000 hours of deliberate practice, you can be the best in the world at what you're spending the 10,000 hours on. It's hard to write well, and I've written now maybe millions and millions of words, 20 books, dozens and dozens of short stories. Back in the 90s, I wrote 4 novels, I've written a children's book. I also experiment with every style of writing. You want to always get out of your comfort zone. Even nonfiction articles, I try to write always in a literary style. So I'll experiment with first person, second person, third person, omniscient person. I'll experiment with chronology and what's the arc of the hero, where are the cliffhangers. I want to read nonfiction books that are like that as well. And I think that's how you be a good writer, but it takes a lot of practice. But what I noticed is when I started to use other skills like salesmanship in business or entrepreneurship or public speaking, I would borrow from the 10 or even 20,000 hours I put into writing, and I would take, okay, some part of these hours is how to tell a story. Some part of these hours is how to be convincing. And I would use that in like public speaking. So I didn't have to do 10,000 hours of public speaking to be a good public speaker. I would borrow 6,000 hours from my writing and then throw in another 3,000 or 4,000 hours. By borrowing hours from your different skill sets where you have put in the 10,000 hours, you can quickly be good at many things. I started off writing books about finance. I kind of didn't like doing that because I feel a small percentage of people really want to know how to pick a stock, but everybody wants to know how to go from being stuck to unstuck. Everybody wants to know how to reinvent their life, and they want to know it in the context of a story. They don't want to be lectured, this is how you change your life. They want to see, oh, here's this guy who was down and out, and here's what he did. So I'm not self-help, I'm just telling a story, and then other people can decide whether or not they want to pay attention, or they can just be entertained by the way I tell my story.